All right, Wayne Allyn Root with the great Bill O'Reilly, the king of cable news for so many years, 16 years in a row. And we are so proud and honored to have him on our show, the Wayne Allyn Root Show. Bill, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me back, Wayne.
All right, let's start with your thoughts on the State of the Union. What did you think about Trump's speech last night? And do you think he's well positioned now to get the wall, to negotiate with Democrats? And how about to win an election in 2020? Hit on all those fronts if you can.
Clever speech, well delivered, trapped his opposition into supporting him at times by concentrating on economic gains in the minority and feminine communities. That was very, very clever. Speech itself was fairly predictable. He didn't say anything surprising. It was more conciliatory than he usually is, trying to find some kind of common grounds. The American public believes that he wants to make a deal, which is true. And President Trump would want to make an immigration deal, would help him, would help the country. So he was not being phony. He made one big mistake in the speech by saying that countless people have been murdered by illegal aliens. That isn't true. There is a count to it. And it's pretty problematic for the country, but it's not an overwhelming situation. What is overwhelming is the anarchy within the immigration law, that it's not being obeyed and that the southern border is not able to keep millions of people out. That's overwhelming. That was a mistake because it allowed his enemies to go in and say, oh, you see, he's not telling the truth, he's exaggerating, which is exactly what CNN did. It took them 30 seconds to do that. But all in all, I said right after the speech, right here on Newsmax, Wayne, that Trump won and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer lost, because that's what it's all about now. It's a chess game. From the speech, I took that Donald Trump is going to declare a state of emergency if the Congress cannot come up with funding for the wall. I believe that will happen, because he cannot say to his base, hey, it's the House's fault, Nancy's fault, and I'm walking away, when he does have an option to declare the state of emergency. The California Attorney General said he'll immediately file court papers to block that. We expect that to happen. But I do believe the president will declare a state of emergency if no deal is reached. Otherwise, it was a good kickoff speech for his reelection in 2020. He now goes to El Paso, Texas on Monday to begin his campaigning, because that's what it all is. And El Paso is a good story for the wall, which is why he's going there.
And by the way, I thought Stacey Abrams was a horrible choice, or at least the way it kicked off was a horrible choice. The setting, quiet, people behind her looked like they were dead. They were just sitting there not moving. They could have been dummies. Nobody clapped. It was just depressing. It was depressing compared to Trump. Terrible. Why did the Democrats have a live?
BillO'Reilly.com. I told my listeners on BillO'Reilly.com, Wayne, that I was very interested in hearing Ms. Abrams. And I learned a lot from her speech. And the primary thing I learned is that Stacey Abrams did not tell the truth. And it was pretty stunning, because that speech was written by the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. And they basically said the economy's not good. Well, it is good. So you're saying something that isn't true. And you can back that up with statistics. So Stacey Abrams contends that the economy is no good and that the tax break hurt working Americans. That's not true. All of these things have been studied and all of the stats are out. And then finally says voter suppression is a big problem in America. That's not true. Last November in Georgia, they had the highest turnout of voters in recent history. So 3 times she told blatant falsehoods in her address. You didn't see it fact checked because the press doesn't want to do that. But if Trump had done 3 falsehoods like that, it would have blown the roof off the joint.
What do you think of, I'm going to go off script for a minute here. We didn't go over ever mention this question, but I think it's a really important question. What do you think of the week of the Democrats? You have the Virginia governor saying he's for infanticide. Then you have the Virginia governor in pictures with KKK and blackface. Then you have the Virginia lieutenant governor accused of sexual assault. Then the Virginia attorney general today came out and said he's done blackface portraying a rapper. And then you had Elizabeth Warren and her state bar card come out in Texas and check off that she's an American Indian. I mean, she wrote in American Indian. I mean, you have to really go out of your way to write something like that in. So I said it wrong. She didn't even check a box. She wrote it in. It seems like they're imploding. Wanted to get your thoughts.
Let's start with Senator Warren. First, she's through. All right, she's finished. That's the end of Senator Warren on a national level. All right?
Right. Good.
So the Washington Post put that out, by the way, to be fair. They found it. Secondly, the Commonwealth of Virginia is in disarray. Yes, these things happened a long time ago. Perhaps the punishment is for stupid things you do in school is unwarranted, but in this age of Twitter, the Twitter mob, and because the Democratic Party has said, well, we're the virtuous party. We're virtue. The Democratic Party, very virtual signaling. That's all they do. So when one of their own is in a compromised position, they can't defend that person. So I assume that you'll have a Republican running Virginia within the next month. I don't think these three men can survive.
I hope you're right. Last but not least, the tweet about the State of the Union from, of all people, Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer. He said last night should serve as a wake-up call for Democrats. Trump is not to be underestimated in 20. Too many people think the election will be a layup. He'll be easily beaten. Not true. It will be an ugly battle for the future of the Republic, and the Dems better find a fighter. Wanted to see what you thought. To be honest, I'm shocked about only one thing. He actually is a liberal Democrat who knows it's a republic, not a democracy. I'm shocked he knows that. I never met a Democrat who knew that before.
I don't care what Michael Avenatti says. I don't follow Michael Avenatti. I think that he is a opportunist. I do care what the Atlantic magazine does because it's a far left publication that I believe is hurting the country. And Jamel Hill, I don't know whether you know this,
Hill,
works for Atlantic magazine.
She basically asked for assassination, right? She basically was begging for the assassination of Trump, right? Basically
encouraged. I don't know how else you're going to spin this, but it looks to me like she's encouraging someone to kill the president of the United States. So I have called on my Twitter base, we have 3 million followers, for the Secret Service to immediately investigate the Atlantic magazine and Ms. Hill. And I'm going to do this tonight on BillO'Reilly.com in a pretty heavy way. And the reason I'm doing it is enough's enough. All right, enough. And, you know, the left-wing press has been discredited. No one believes it anymore. But now I think that there has to be some responsibility. People have to start paying a price. And Jamel Hill was departed from ESPN because of her overtly left-wing political views. ESPN is a ruined network because of people like her and Oberman and these people. They're ruined, and they'll never come back. So Disney, there you go. You ruined $1 billion franchise. But I think the Secret Service has to get involved, Wayne. I think they have to.
And we should all call for the Atlantic to immediately fire Jamel Hill. Because I don't know any Republican or conservative writer to...
No.
Why? Who asked for assassination?
I don't want to be part of the mob.
All right.
I want a serious investigation by the federal agency empowered to protect the president of the United States. And then if that agency comes back and says, we believe that the Atlantic magazine and Jamel Hill were serious about putting the president in danger, then I'll make that call.
All right. Bill O'Reilly, always great thoughts, always on the money, and lots of wisdom. And I'm always grateful to have you on the show. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, Wayne, thanks again.